Thank you for making all things well. Thank you for spiritual administration, organizing us by the power of your Spirit. Thank you. Have your way again today in our lives. Come and set your throne in our midst. In all the schools, turn it into ground. Fill it with spirit of transformation. In all the places this morning, in all the different schools, let no one live the same. Let no stone be left unturned. Fill your servants with your presence, that your word will comfort like hammer, it will comfort like fire that consumes the stubble. Let your angels take a place to minister to us and establish your counsel concerning every one of us. Bring clarity that the ministries you have given to everyone, it will be clear to them that the era of confusion will depart. The era of focus and purpose-driven living, purpose-driven ministry will emerge. Men will run in their different course, not breaking their ranks, knowing clearly what you call them to do, implementing it without fail. I ask for grace to be released upon everyone as your word go forth in each session. People will find that the shackles of yesterday is broken, that they will freed from the things that have hindered them. They can move into a new realm, because this is your time, this is your moment. Have your way. Overrule every counsel of the enemy. Overrule whatever is concocted for the kingdom of darkness. Let your kingdom come with its muscle, with its power. Let you overrule everything that is born of the flesh, everything that is born of man, be enthroned in your full majesty. Speak for your servant here at my Father. Circumcise our hearts. Raise for yourself a priesthood that is consecrated in righteousness, that wear the garment of glory, a garment of beauty, that will carry your glory to this dying generation. I thank you. I praise you. I thank you. Open our eyes. Let us see what you see. Let our heart beat like your own heart. We give you praise. In Jesus' name. Amen. I'm talking about the framework for discipleship and human development. Matthew chapter 28, verse 19 and 20. Because what I'm delivering is a system, it's only 2% of people on earth know how to build systems. The people like John Gicho, people like Cesar Castellanos. This thing that I'm teaching you now, G12, is a system that was downloaded from heaven. Matthew chapter 28. Now, going back to the Great Commission, go ye therefore and teach all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and of the Holy Ghost, teaching them to observe all things whatsoever I have commanded you. Lo, I am with you always. Anyway, to disciple a nation, you have to teach. As a matter of fact, the Great Commission is go and make disciples of all nations. And the process of making that disciple is to teach. Let me make it clear. The second teach is how to do the instruction that he gave in the first. But then he said that the teaching is teaching to observe. That is the difference. To teach, to be able to get compliance, is not just teaching people. It involves a series of process. It's like raising children. It's actually parenting. What we call discipleship is parenting. A portion of that is modeling what you are teaching. A portion of that is teaching. A portion of that is holding them responsible to do what? Teaching to observe. Teaching to observe. Teaching to obtain compliance. Teaching in such a way that people will do. Not teaching to educate. Not teaching to enlighten. teaching in such a way that lives are transformed and the people will practice what they are hearing. So the teaching process, like when you do teaching in a class, is just one part of the issue. If you want to understand what God is talking about here, look at the systems that are producing practitioners like doctors, like lawyers. Study the processes there, then you get an idea. Even when they are true, there are practical things that are engaged in. You get to a point, either the third year in the medical school, they will move you over where you start going to hospital and they place you, they call them, it's not even internship yet. They place them under mentors, coaches, in small group. Because each person needs attention. They have to be supervised. And they are taken to where the operation is taking place. They start by studying dead people first, different parts of human body. And then they get to where they are going to deal with living people that are receiving treatment. So that somebody read biology book, physiotherapy book, and all those courses they read, does not mean he knows medicine. He doesn't know anything. He has just got the theory. He has to be taken into a place of working knowledge. So in ministry, you have preaching, teaching, then you have training. Where we stop, many pastors stop at preaching. A few take it further to teaching. Very, very few get to training. And then after training, there is mentoring and coaching. Mentoring and coaching is showing you the how. In preaching, you declare what needs to be done. In teaching, you explain. In training, you inculcate skill to do it. You show people how. You give them skills that will enable them to do it. But you see, in coaching and mentoring, you model it. You take them with you. That's what they do. So when they graduate from medical school, they don't just release them. They take them into another batch of program called internship. A lawyer graduates from the law school. She goes to a chamber and attaches herself for a number of years. This might be one of the greatest sons that the nation will produce, but he's now understudying. We have a son in this ministry. I watch him grow from an ordinary lawyer to a son. I watch him get married, wedded him. But the secret is, he went to Chief Williams, one of the greatest legal minds that this country has produced, and served in his chambers. Some of you now are turning your internship time and going to be opening church. All you needed to do is, Dr. Hussein, I have a calling to pioneer a ministry, but please, let me work with your ministry for 7 years. I want to have a working knowledge of how the G12 works. Pastor David, I have a calling to do this, but I'm coming to submit myself to you for 7 years. It's not everybody that the ministry trains that ministry will keep. But from day one, be honest. It's not when they give you a work, you break it, say, God has told you. That's madness. I served in a ministry before this ministry was born. From the day I came, I told them, I knew I was called into an apostolic assignment, but you don't just go and jump into it. I went to a place and served for 7 years. And I made it clear that this is why, and I'm directed to 7 solid years I'm going to be here. And so within that 7 years, they drilled me through different places, and I led to multiplication. I planted more chapters, more branches for that ministry than any living human being, than even the founder. Of course, I planted 10 times more chapters than the founder of the ministry. At one time, I suspended my life for 2 years. I was literally everywhere. But you think you're doing something for somebody. That's when I was mastering the art of church planting. God works on your own destiny when you spend time working on another person's destiny. That is part of the training. You know what some people will do? They will say they are already in ministry. No, you are in school, you are in internship. They call it apprenticeship. The Bible said when your brother, a Jewish man, serves you, 7 years after, he serves you for 6 years, on the 7th year you should release him. And I use the same principle. When you release him, empower him to go and fulfill his own destiny. Shall I read it for you? Deuteronomy chapter 15. Show it to them. The end of every year, you should make a release. So from verse 12, if thy brother, a Hebrew man, today it is, if your brother, another Christian, you don't oppress God's children because they are God's free men. But God allows this because that is the law for producing the next generation of champions. Apprenticeship. If thy brother, a Hebrew man or a Hebrew woman, be sold unto thee and serve thee 6 years, then in the 7th year you shall let him go free from thee. That's the principle we operate here. But watch, let me show you some of the things said there. Verse 13. And when thou sendest him out from thee, thou shalt not let him go away empty. Thou shalt furnish him liberally out of thy flock. When he discharges himself, you don't have this obligation. When he follows the due process, at the end of the day, you release him properly, you should give him some help. Those of you who work in civil service know what I'm talking about. When your proper year of retirement, whatever, if you go and retire yourself, there is no gratuity. All those things they pay them, you won't get a kobo. If he leaves because of wrongdoing, he starts stealing church or whatever, that obligation is cancelled. If he serves faithfully, you have to also be faithful to him. Thou shalt furnish him liberally out of thy flock, out of thy floor, out of thy wine press, wherewith the Lord thy God hath blessed thee, thou shalt give unto him. Go on. And thou shalt remember that you yourself, you were a bondman in the land of Egypt, and the Lord redeemed thee. You remember that we were slaves to Satan, and God redeemed us. Yes, go on. And it shall be that if he said to thee, now take note of this particular injunction. As constitution of the kingdom, look at this injunction. If he says to thee, I will not go away from thee, because he loveth thee and thy house, and because he is well with thee. Let me tell you the meaning of the second part. He says, I don't want to go. The reason is that he loves the ministry where he is. Second is that the ministry too has blessed him. It's a two-way. One is that he loves his mentor, he loves the ministry. Two is that I can fulfill my destiny here. See, if you want a ministry that can retain people, create a ministry that does not just benefit the GO. Create the one that can benefit everybody that comes there. That after a 6 years of service or 7 years, something tangible should be happening in that person's life. But anyway, here is the point. If he says to you, I will not go away from thee, because he loveth thee and thy house, because he is well with thee. Now watch what you do. Verse 17. Then you shall take an awl and thrust it through his ear unto the door, and he shall be thy servant forever. If you give him the opportunity to go, he rejects it. Call people as witness. Then he enters into a bond that he's going to stay in that ministry till he dies. If he comes up tomorrow after making this deal and breaks off, he will face the consequences from heaven. But you don't keep a man against their will. At the end of 7 years of people serving, you give them an opportunity to go. Do you know what I find here? Each year we give, people refuse to go. And I tell them, please, you are still my son. Even if you are outside or you're whatever, you have a different ministry. It has not changed anything. You are still my son. Please take liberty. Because God explained to me that there are also people he sends to me to train that he needs for some other stuff. And nobody wants to go. Then once in a while, you find one person who accepts the challenge. It's just like in this project now, all of my few kids who are out doing work, I called all of them, make sure you are here. There are some serious things we're sharing with ministers so you can improve your work. I want to see them succeed. I want to see them prosper. Because they carry my image. And when you see them, even though they put another name on it, when you go there, it's just the same thing they are doing. Unless you didn't learn well. So I'm not certain that people are living. What is the meaning of that? If Joseph is going to Egypt to be prime minister, let him go. Let him go. Because one day he will be bringing you to introduce you to Pharaoh. And you just walk in and lay hands on Pharaoh without working for it. They will be organizing. Before you will spend money to organize program. Now they will spend their own money to organize program and bring you there. I just come when I finish preaching. You give me honorarium, I go. No headache. Before, I will be working how to pay them, how to make sure they are doing well. Now they have to take care of themselves and then take care of me, their father. At that moment, they now start learning some of the things I've been doing with them. Oh, the man was a good man. Oh, he wasn't as bad as I thought. I'm a nice person, very nice person. God gave me a good heart, and I'm not about to lose it for anything. I'm going to remain like this because that's how Jesus wants the new creation to be. But I'm also very tough when it comes to training. Very tough. Because I found that I do analysis. If I find that you are supposed to be playing a globe or world championship, I'm not going to let you come to field where we are doing football practice by 10 a.m. No, that's not how you grow champions. I'm going to insist. You come the first time I say if you try it again. After a while, they learn that I'm serious because I'll deal with it. Or you resign from the training. So when you now tell somebody, Pastor David trains you, they will see the effect. When they pass ball to you, boom, into the net. So I explained the goal, but I said medical training is tough. Sometimes, sociology students might be on horse, but you're doing practical. They might graduate in 4 years, but you find yourself staying 7 years. But when you finally come out, there is no comparison. So I let them understand that, and then it helps people to adjust to go through the process. The process. I'm very tough in training. Yet each time, people want to train me, be my over. Why? Because I insist in character. I insist in discipline. I insist in order. I believe that transformation begins from personal to organizational and then to national. That if the man has not changed, forget about going to save the world. And you need somebody who will circumcise you like Abraham did for Isaac, because you carry that uncircumcised heart and grow into ministry. That's why some is women, they will be doing all sorts of things. Some is recklessness with money. Some is circumcision could be painful. When they're cutting the knife, the baby will cry, but he's going to laugh the rest of his life. Then you need to trust that one in his ear and establish it now. That if you stay, it means you're going to stay till your death. And then you sign a deal, a covenant. So this is about how to manage ministers. But this is not how to manage sons. This is not how to manage sons. The reason is that many ministries don't know how to grow sons. So they're always facing this problem in the first place. This is not how you deal with sons. From day one, sons are not going anywhere. Hey, show them where Jesus made a commentary between the two. Is in John chapter 8. A servant does not abide in the house forever, but a son does. Put it up. Let them see it. A servant, a minister is a servant. It's a person that has a calling, but is come to serve under your ministry. A son is a minister, but he has his calling in the house. Is the extension of the vision of the Father. A servant is like when you go to MTN and get a job. You don't stay there forever. But you don't treat your father's house like you treat MTN. In your father's house, you don't work for pay. Okay, this is why I use the word slave. But all of this, whether they use the word slave or not, it's not the word slave, it's servant. Give me another translation. Okay. A servant abided not in the house forever. The plan says 6 years, 7 years, you release him. Jesus is training that. He's a Jew. He understands the principle. It's 6 years, 7 years, you release him. But the son abides for how long? How long does the son abide? Is there anything like son, when he is 6 years, you release him? No. The question now is, how do you grow sons as opposed to servants? Why is it that the sons stay forever? Because whatever you're building is their future. Like in the G12 model, you don't divide the cells, they only multiply. In sonship model, you don't release sons and send them away. You only release them into a place where they can fulfill their destiny. He has stayed with me here in headquarters. He has learned maybe for 6 years, or sometimes they can even grow faster, 3 years. Then you get him to pray and let him find his own city, his own territory, his own country, his own nation. The way the Father gave the earth to the Son, the Father stays in heaven, but Jesus is the one that is going to be running this place. He has come and paid the price for it. He's returning to come and run it. He's the governor, he's the president of this territory. But when he goes to heaven, I don't know if you have heard Pastor Victor talk. In heaven, when worship is going on, he joins to worship the Father. But on earth, when he comes back here, everybody worships him. So you find for the Son his own planet, where he can go and have dominion like the Father. You give him an inheritance. So the Father showed Jesus the glory that was ahead of him. If you will serve, go to the cross, do all that, this is what you are. You will be King of Kings, Lord of Love, over a sphere as far as human beings is concerned, because they are the ones you suffered for. You redeemed them, so you are going to rule it forever, not for 7 years. Once a son sees his future, you don't just keep people serving without a future ahead of them. Somewhere along the line, after they've gotten trained, they will start getting agitated. Our children, we don't train them forever. A time comes when he has to be doctor now, you have to be engineer now, and fulfill his destiny. But when you ask his name, he answers the same name as his father. He has extended his father's name. He marries a wife, he raises children, but both him and his children is still his father's name. You don't send children away from their family. But that's not what you do with the servants that come to your house. The maid, the day she marries, that's it. The gate man, they have a period they will walk, they will say they want to go. A son abides in the house forever. Now, and many of us think growing servants is the same thing as growing sons is not true. So let me give you framework for developing men and growing sons. If we get one more session, I'll tell you what you do with them at all the stage. How many of you would like to know how to grow sons for now? You would like to know? That will be the greatest discovery you will make in ministry if you actually learn it. It's a system that will remove a lot of the suffering that these fathers I see in the East are going through when they have come to a certain age. They are still suffering because they didn't raise sons. Some of them raised servants and they have left. Ministers. But if you're wise, you should know that when you have a deal, a 7-year deal with a minister, he'll be going on the 7th year. You make sure that while he's here, he has reproduced a minimum of at least 12 ministers. It should be part of the condition. If he has not reproduced it, where he lives, who is he expecting to do his work? Who is he expecting? It's the condition. Within 3 years, you must have reproduced yourself at least 12 times. 6th year now, we do whatever. 7th year, we lay hands on you and commission you. This is kingdom order. This is constitution, kingdom constitution. I don't care what you believe in. This is the book. Okay, let me give you a framework for discipling men and growing sons. Now, there are 7 frameworks. I will now tell you the best. There are 7 that has been discovered. The first is the manufacturing framework. I want to point out that. When I write, type it for them, so those that are not able to see what I'm writing, the manufacturing framework. Manufacturing, all companies that produce finished products follow this. It's actually the operational systems of all companies that have, especially manufacturing companies. They have a 4 framework, a 4-level framework. The first level is input. Because the church is a factory that manufactures leaders, manufactures ministers, manufactures deliverers. So many of us just have the showroom preaching. We don't have any training going on behind the scene. So input is the first stage. The second is process. The third is output. The fourth is outcome. Okay. What is input? The human beings that come into church. Input phase is when people are won to Christ, they come into church. So if you develop this 4 framework, you develop an input phase of ministry and create a department or a directorate just on input. In a factory, that department is to be going around looking for raw materials, buying it, supplying it to the factory. Then you create the process phase of the factory. When they have brought in the raw materials are taken to the process phase where they are processed. If what we are making is beer, the input phase will be after buying malt, mortar, wheat, and all those things they use to make beer or malt if it's malt drink. The process phase will be the factory where they build all those machines that process those things. The output phase is where you build, where you take the products that come out from the process. Process is where you do the manufacturing. Output is where you have your finished product. Output in ministry are the leaders. Process is the training school, the training system. In ministry, the process is the training and discipleship system that you have developed. When I finish now, you will see where Sister Castellanos how God opened his eyes, what he saw, is not a special thing. It's just that people of God are not following kingdom systems. So the process is the training systems you build. Then the output is the leaders you are producing. Then what is the outcome? The ministry of those leaders, the impact they will make. You give them goals. Don't release leaders without goals. When you release them, give them goals. You're going to grow 1,000 people in a year. Go and pioneer church in this place. You commission them and give them something to do. And then the result, the outcome phase is a performance measurement phase, where you measure what the people are doing. The processes of that phase involve things like reporting system. The activities you do there involve things like monitoring and supervision. The things you do there involve things like developing systems for measuring the results. That's where when I showed the G12 framework, you will see I added one step after. Because that step stops with sending and does not have what happens after you have sent people. You see how the man has taken Young Cho's work and perfected it further. He also stopped somewhere. That the process is not even perfect. Remember, the G12 vision is thorough, but it's the process of the vision that we're talking about. There are 4-stage process there. It should be 5, because after you send men, there is one more process. The manufacturing system has it. Outcome. Because until what we have manufactured is with customers and is meeting their needs, and they do evaluation with customers to know if the thing is working. And anytime there is a problem, they withdraw, go back to the factory and correct it. That area keeps them in business. But if they just send and they don't care what happens with their product as it leaves, that is confusion. Is somebody hearing what I'm saying? Okay. Did you get that one? Let me know if I can do another one. Have the hands. Because system thinking, we are not used to it. We are used to preaching. We are not used to training. And even though we are providing some form of training here, there are components of training that are not here. Because that's part of, it's not just the knowledge. After you gain knowledge, what decides whether you will succeed is discipline. The ability to convert, to practice that thing consistently. So people think it's just a matter of learning. Even if I teach you everything I know, it doesn't mean you will succeed like me until you cultivate the level of discipline I have, or even beat me. In the comparison of knowledge versus character, character weighs 4 times the weight of knowledge. Did you hear what I just said? Where you assign knowledge 10%, you assign character 40%. If you assign knowledge 20%, you assign character 80%. Discipline. Can you see the gap? The discipline of execution is the difference between two people that have the same knowledge. So in training now, we go beyond what you teach the person to. That's what Jesus meant. Teaching to observe. A disciple cannot be a disciple without discipline. Okay, let me give you another framework. Professor Nebog uses this framework, but it's an imperfect framework. That's what the INT is built on. It's called the 3D framework. But it's a very good framework. Once you have a framework, you start succeeding. You can now perfect. But if you don't have at all, you are like a building without structure. Which one that come into your head, you preach. You get up this year, you preach. A time comes in your ministry where you don't just preach anything you like. There should be order. There should be something you teach year after year. Listen, if you want to be growing leaders and be producing sons, there has to be a system and a curriculum. You don't just preach anything you like. If you go to the medical school, you see that the same thing they taught 5 years ago is the same thing they are teaching. But every now and then there are new innovation, improvement in knowledge. They add it, but it still does not change the framework. So when you give them a new student to train, they produce the same type doctor. There is consistency, but we don't have a system that keeps producing people. Because you preach up today, you destroy what you preach next week, you preach up again, you preach down. You don't even know that some knowledge are like antibiotics. One is like a bacteria, the other is an antibiotic. That there are some things you teach the other one, you counter the one you have taught before. That's what a lot of people are doing. You inoculate people with a kingdom something. You teach one thing that nullifies it. Meanwhile, it's supposed to be building. 52 weeks is what you have this year. What is the curriculum for the year? Where do you want to take the church? And you start by assessing, where is the church that I'm pastoring? You do a SWOT analysis. What are our strengths? What are our weaknesses? What are the threats? What are the opportunities? We can take this city this year. That's our opportunity. There is so much opportunity here to do this, to do that. Where are we strong? Okay, we have done well with discipleship, but this church is not good with soul winning. Okay, we have been doing well with soul winning, but these our people are not givers. Don't you know you need to develop a giving curriculum for them? You only have 52 weeks, probably 52 sermons to preach in a year. Structure it for January. This is what I'm going to be dealing with in January. This is what I'm going to be dealing with. Okay, January is going to be prayer that we're going to be teaching and fasting. By February, we take off. This is what we're going to tackle in February. This is what we're going to tackle in March. This is what we're going to, by the time we get to June, we switch to this next level. By June of this year, this church we have received the DNA of liberality. It's a giving church. Okay, this church gives, but this church is not a praying church. Don't you know that's the curriculum you're going to assess? What value will prayer add to this work? Can this work succeed like it should if they are not praying, they're not praying for souls, they're not praying for the pastor, they're not praying for the church? How will that work succeed? Okay, that is where we are weak. A pastor does not just come up, hey, he preach. This one will preach. This one will. Can't you see? Framework is what I've been talking about since I came to Enugu. Preach up, preach down, preach whatever. The framework is the only thing I've been talking on, and yet you haven't got it. You start this one, you leave it halfway. That's how I used to preach. So by the end of the day, I've started so many projects, not one has gone beyond foundation. You think because you taught something once that the people understood it? No. Stay on it. Stay on it. Watch the Kenneth Hagins. Watch the Fred Price. They are faith thing. You stay on it. 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 After a while, everybody is exercising crazy faith. You say, okay, they have got it. I need to switch to love. Now they are men of faith, but they need to understand how love and faith balances. Those are the ones that succeed in ministry. Okay, the 3D framework, you know what they are? If you go to read Isaiah 61, you will find that framework. But I don't want to get into that. D1 is deliverance. Deliverance phase of ministry. D2 is discipleship phase. D3 is deployment. That's send. That framework has win, train, and send. That's what it has. Deliverance phase is when you bring people out of Egypt, like Moses. You take the rod, you go to Egypt. It's a miracle phase. If you leave some people, they will do miracle till they die. There's a time, it's an outreach phase. Because it's usually at the beginning phase of a ministry, you need to grow followership. At that phase, you need the supernatural. At that phase, you need all kinds of outreach programs. At that phase, you need. But after God has given you a sizable number of followership, 120 people, 200 people, 300 people, you need to switch and consolidate the followership you have. Because followership is like air, it can evaporate. The day they hear another person who has come to town with another thing. So you have to take them to discipleship phase where they are processed, so that after that they become stable members of the church. Between one major outreach activity and another one, there should have been something in between to consolidate the harvest you got last time. But some people, from one crusade to another, from one program to another, from one whatever, what you're building, the day wind will blow that place, is going to collapse on you and the people. So, whenever I take training that is based on this model outside church, I rebrand the process. I call it discovery phase, development phase, and deployment phase. Just to remove discovery phase, development phase, deployment phase. The D3. But this process is lacking one component. If you follow the manufacturing component, it is the component of outcome. It has input, deliverance phase, where you pull them out of Egypt. It has process, discipleship phase. It has output, deployment. Deployment is sending, when you release them to go and do. It doesn't have a system to measure the productivity of people that have been sent. You see its limits. It doesn't have outcome phase where you do performance assessment and manage the people, because after you raise ministers, there is managing of those labor force. It doesn't have it. So that's just the limitation, but it's a very good. Just because you sent doesn't mean that's where the G12 process. So Pastor Steve was wiser by adding relate. After that, that is the system, the outcome system manages the relationships after people have been sent. If not, what happened in the last one can happen again. Lord Bagis Kaboshta events to Subihi. Let me just mention the framework so you can have them. We will talk about the content later. There is a G12 framework. Write it. It's the third. The process is, he will tell us. Win. Write it, type it so that they will see. Win. Consolidate. Disciple. And send. That's the 4 framework for developing people in the G12 process. And there are things you do at all these stages. So if we get the time, I will tell you exactly what is done on all the different stages. Now, what exactly happened in the G12 process is that the G12 system has 2 processes in it. It has one input, which is win. It has one output, which is send. And it has 2 processes inside. The first process is consolidation. The second process is the school of leaders. These are the 2 processes that I need. That's how you process the human beings. The first process is consolidation. The second process is training, discipleship program, the school of leaders. Now, there are factories that are like that. For example, a blood making factory has 2 processes in it. At the input phase, you go and bring sand, buy cement, buy water, buy all the raw materials. Then you bring to the factory. Input is over. That's the one that wins souls, bring people to church. The outreach department. You have to have that department functioning. Then at the process phase, they develop the first phase of the process. The first phase is that these raw materials you have brought must be mixed perfectly. So they create a system that takes sand and cement and water, and you see that thing turning like this. And after it has turned, it has produced a blended mixture. First process has passed. That's what G12 has. They call that one consolidation. Then that process stage shifts the material that have been mixed to another process. This is the process that does the molding of the block. It pours the thing, a mold shapes it into blocks. This process is what is called training, discipleship, that shapes human being after the image of Christ. After that, the block industry now sends to the output phase, that now they dry the blocks there. After drying it, it has hardened. They start pushing them out to customers. That is the kind of process we have, system we have in the G12. But there is one process that every company that is making sense has beyond pushing products out. Because you know, it is that process that manages the customers, manages the marketers, manages the whole. They create customer service, they create public relations, they create all kinds of things to make sure. Think about our network, MTN. They have a place where you load your recharge card. They have sold, though. Product has gone. But now customer is loading. There is a problem. You call. I loaded this thing, there was nothing inside. They will type into the system and say, oh, we are sorry. Give us your number. We'll push the thing direct into your phone. And customer is happy. Okay, I've been trying to make call. My phone has been bad. Because if you make a call 3 times or trying to load a number 3 times, they buy it. My number has been bad. They say, identify yourself. You give your particulars, they identify. He's the real owner of the phone. They unbuy it. Because you are not the one that are trying to punish. They are trying to punish the person who will steal your phone or steal your card and is trying to use. So now they confirm that you are the one. They unbuy. If you don't have that place, managing all that, you create so much problem that back goes all the way back till it drives out. It destroys every other thing you are doing. People will be leaving. You don't know why you are losing. A lot of people are coming to church. A lot of people are leaving church. You don't know what is going on. Churches lose 2 kinds of members. You lose converts that are not consolidated, or you lose old members that have been trained that are not managed. They are not given out responsibilities. So it's either the old ones are leaving and new ones are coming. Or the new ones that are coming, there is no system. We call it in deeper life follow-up. It's more than just follow-up. Follow-up is just one of the things you do in a consolidation system. And they are leaving. There is another framework. It's called the 5 purpose framework. The 5 purpose of the church. I will stop with that. It's a 5-level framework. The framework I use is a minimum of 5 level. A minimum of 5 level. I have a framework that is up to 7 level, but I introduce those postgraduate program. After people have mastered the 5-level process, I will now introduce the postgraduate program for them, for producing professors in church growth, church management, and church. I have it already developed. This is the 5 purpose framework. This is a framework for processing human beings who come to church. The first stage, according to Rick Warren, is worship. According to Pastor David, is prayer and worship. My house shall be called a house of prayer for all nations. I know we worship in it, but God didn't say it shall be called a house of worship. Think about it. The next stage is mission. What is that thing you do before mission? It's prayer. What did Jesus do before going after people? Prayer. If you're really going to make impact, it's prayer. Not how much song you sing. Prayer. Prayer is the first stage. Second stage is mission. Third stage is fellowship. Do you know what third stage is? Church planting, church development, developing small groups, cell systems, all of that. Creating love. In G12, we call that phase consolidation. Fourth phase, discipleship. Fifth phase, ministry. You know what ministry is? Send. If you put the G12 framework here, you will see that it starts, it fits. The only thing that is missing in G12 framework is prayer. But when they start teaching it, they recognize that in WIN that you have to pray. But it should have been isolated as its own process. G12 framework is WIN. Here is mission. Consolidate, fellowship, or integration, they call it. Disciple, disciple. Send, ministry. What did the five purpose framework add? Prayer. Now, when you get into the understanding the G12 process, they will tell you, you start by doing a 30 days fast and prayer for that soul. So they recognize it, but the man didn't isolate it, just like young children didn't isolate some things. It's the first process in any ministry. You don't begin ministry with winning people or mission or outreaches. You begin it with prayer. But what is all these systems so far missing? Something that manufacturers know, that beyond companies know, that beyond sending, there is management. There is coordination. Because that stage that I'm missing is the stage we call sonship. The sending stage is ministers. That stage that I'm missing is what most churches are missing. Is the stage called sonship. That is when we, in our own ministry, enter into covenant, sonship covenant. The sons now live being servants to partners with the father to drive the vision of the house. But everybody goes through the same process to get there. Because a son, while he's a child, is not different from a servant. He is placed under tutors and governors. He has to be trained and made to go through the process until the time appointed of the father. When you get to the stage of service, stewardship, ministry, sending, there are now 7 qualities that differentiates a son. When all of them are serving, you will start seeing, if you know what the qualities are, you'll be separating out who are. One of them is loyalty. A servant will be loyal to the work. A son will be loyal to the father, to the person that sent him. One of them is honor. A servant believes in giving to the Lord's work. Let's push mission. A son understands that beyond giving to the Lord's work, he has to honor his father. There is a balance between the two. A servant just... And if all you did is send, and you have not inculcated the sonship DNA, somewhere along the line, you start having problems you did not envisage. Some people now say they don't want to train people anymore. Every time they train, they disappoint them. At the level of consolidation, you lead people into church covenant or membership commitment. But at the level of sonship, you lead them into sonship covenants. There is a covenant binding the Trinity. There's one that tied David and his mighty men. If not, we will not be able to face the enemy. At the time of minister, you give them ministry oath, ordination, commitments. They're going to be ready to commit to upholding the doctrines, commit to serving the people, commit to... You don't give people ordination without commitments before God. You don't do that. There are processes in all these stages. At the discipleship stage, I get you to sign discipleship agreement. It means you're giving me a right to train you, to correct you, to even rebuke you. If you're going to turn out right, that is one stage that you must give that. So that I can have the right parents have to bring you up for the Lord. Because when I correct you now, you're going to throw up and you say you are leaving the church. So from the one, you say you are not giving, then you're also leaving my discipleship school. Because if you go to a doctor to operate on you, you have to sign that in that gives you the right to do the operation. Operation, it might be painful. We will give you as much inoculation as possible. For example, when you sign it, you are telling, if you come late to training, you're going to stand all through. And then you tell me, I was older than your father. No. They don't do school by how old you are. If you're President Ekweme, you get to Harvard Business School and join MBA class, you behave. Is where there is no order. People just do whatever they like. If you like, be army, I have army generals. Some of them, I raised them from the time they were to generals now. The last time they were doing a general decoration, I was the one invited to speak in the army headquarters. Because it's my son from campus to general that's being decorated. Raising sons to transform nations. When I finished preaching that day, all types of generals were now coming to submit to me. Oh, and I was doing, Sometimes I do like the Pope. Grow men, you will know how sweet ministry can be. Grow men. Grow men. Grow songs. Then you will know that ministry is sweet. It's tough when you are growing it. But later, you train your son, he will give you rest in your latter age. Everybody wants mentorship. Before I'm willing to bring my time, you sign. Because you're going to give me right to correct you. If I hear that you get into corruption, you see, because we are raising people the church cannot control. How can they represent Christ? It is when I'm finished passing the DNA into you and we get to sonship level, then I can release you. Because at that point, I know what I've put inside you. You will not deceive Nigeria. You will not steal. No, you will not. Do you know I have people who finish going through our DL, they are returned that are asking, should we return this money? I stole this thing. I'm telling you. Don't ask me what I tell them. I'm following a blueprint. The man is Jesus. If you want to know how to handle anything, study his life. Labat duskoba habuna venevus agvasasisto elemotushta credus. The framework I believe in is the G12. In all this, that framework is thorough and it will deliver the intended result. But I will also tell you a secret. It needs that additional component. And that component is only managed by covenant. When you have grown sons, they have to come into covenant with one another and with the Father. If not, you have grown Lucifers. And at that moment, the Father changes the style. You don't treat them like servants anymore. At that moment, you tell them, you are now my friends. Because everything I learned from the Father, I've shown you. You enter partnership with them to drive the mandate. The style of relating changes. For sons I have, it's no more like before. We now brainstorm on how to get things done. They respect me, but I reduce the use of authority to barest minimum. It shifts to relational leadership. Is somebody hearing what I'm saying? Lift up your hands. God will give you wisdom. There are revelations coming in these last days that will lead the church to perfection. Talk to him, said, I want to know how to disciple men. Listen to the message that is coming next. I will tell you one other model that works very well when I talk with you next. Those two models are the best I've seen so far in all this. Talk to him. Open my eyes. I want to be among those few people on earth that know how to use system to drive results, to drive performance. I want to be a result-oriented minister. I want to understand systems that work, how to drive results in ministry. Sabradagabuke, Evrentu Shuras, Panani Burustivak. Let the scales fall from the eyes of God's servants, from the eyes of every disciple, because a disciple is supposed to build disciples. Show us the way, Lord. Open our eyes to see these things.